Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, but how many of us are truly willing to face what lies beneath the surface? The world rewards noise, and every second drags you outward, pulling you toward distraction, comparison, and decay. How many times have you found yourself reaching for your phone, not because you needed it, but because silence was too uncomfortable? It burns, doesn't it? The thought of being still, of being with yourself, without the constant hum of external validation, can feel like an unbearable weight. Most people have lost the ability to sit in silence without breaking. Their minds are wired to react, to feed off the world's chaos, never to rule it. But what if I told you that the real power is in your ability to detach from the noise, to regain control over your own mind and actions, just like the Stoics taught? Imagine for a moment a life where you are no longer dragged by every whim of the world, but instead you stand firm, calm, centered, and unshaken. If you're tired of being at the mercy of distractions and want to reclaim your focus, this is your chance. Also consider subscribing. It's about taking the first step toward a life where you govern your own mind and actions, not the noise around you. The world is filled with noise, opinions, judgments, expectations. Every day we are bombarded with messages that tell us how we should look, how we should act, and who we should be. It's exhausting, yet it's so easy to fall into the trap of trying to please others. We chase validation, hoping that if we can just meet their expectations, we'll finally feel at peace. But what if the very act of seeking approval is the thing that's holding you back? What if, in trying to gain the acceptance of others, you've been rejecting yourself? The truth is, rejection isn't about pushing people away. It's about rejecting the noise, the distractions, the superficial judgments, and the opinions that cloud your ability to focus on your own path. Every time you give in to the need for validation, you're stepping further away from the growth and direction that truly matters. This isn't easy to hear because we've been conditioned to think that approval equals success. But deep down, you know that it's not about following the crowd. It's about defining your own path. It's only when you reject the external pressures and focus on your own direction that true growth can begin. The moment you realize that your self-worth isn't dependent on the opinions of others is the moment you take back control over your life. The real struggle is learning to focus on your own growth without being distracted by the pull of external validation. The world teaches us that the more we do for others, the more we are valued. But the more you give of yourself to others' expectations, the more you lose yourself. Every moment spent chasing approval is a moment taken away from nurturing your own potential. The Stoics understood this well. True power lies in knowing where to focus your attention. It's not about seeking external rewards or recognition. It's about mastering your inner world. When you stop chasing approval and start rejecting the noise, you unlock a deeper level of freedom. This freedom isn't about escaping the world. It's about becoming untouchable by its judgments. It's about building an unshakable foundation within yourself, one that doesn't crumble when the opinions of others shift. The power to reject the noise is the power to live on your own terms. And once you've experienced that power, nothing can pull you back into the chaos. But how do you learn to reject the noise? It starts with awareness. Recognize the moments when you're seeking external validation. Notice the times when you're tempted to please others at the expense of your own peace. This doesn't mean you have to cut off relationships or stop caring about others. It means you need to start caring about your own path first. You must develop the strength to say no to what doesn't align with your true self. That's not an easy task. It requires self-discipline and the willingness to endure discomfort. The Stoics believed that discomfort was a tool for growth, a way to build resilience and clarity. When you stop reacting to the world's demands and start making decisions based on your own principles, you begin to sharpen your focus. This is where true strength lies, not in controlling others, but in controlling yourself. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This rings especially true when it comes to the fear of rejection. We fear what others might think of us, but most of this fear exists only in our minds. When we choose to let go of that fear and focus on what truly matters, we free ourselves from the constant battle for approval. The more you let go of the fear of rejection, the more you can embrace your own path with clarity and confidence. As you begin to focus on your own growth, you'll notice something remarkable happening. You start to feel more grounded, more centered, and more powerful. Your decisions become more aligned with your true values, and the world around you starts to reflect this newfound strength. When you reject the noise, you create space for your own voice to emerge. The more you cultivate this self-direction, the less you need to be distracted by the opinions of others. It's not that you stop caring about people, it's that you stop letting their opinions control you. This process of rejection is not about shutting yourself off from the world. It's about creating healthy boundaries. It's about rejecting the things that don't serve you and embracing the things that help you grow. The world will always try to pull you in 1,000 directions, but you have the ability to choose your direction. When you reject the distractions and stay focused on your own path, you create a life that is rich with purpose and meaning. You don't need validation to know that you're on the right track. Your growth speaks for itself. In the end, it's about reclaiming control over your own mind and life. The more you reject the noise, the clearer your path becomes. And with that clarity, you can start to build the life you've always dreamed of. One that is true to who you are, not to who the world wants you to be. Your journey is personal, and the moment you decide to take back control, you begin to step into your power. The world may continue to scream, but you'll be too busy listening to your own voice. And that's where the real strength lies. Most people move through life without ever realizing the immense power they hold within themselves. Instead, they're pulled along by the tides of external demands and expectations, constantly reacting to what the world throws at them. It's almost as if their lives are being written by someone else. But here's the truth. You are the architect of your own reality. This isn't just some abstract idea or a feel-good mantra. It's a fundamental truth that holds the key to your freedom. The life you are living right now is the result of choices you have made, consciously or unconsciously. Every decision, no matter how small, contributes to the world you are creating for yourself. It's easy to get lost in the noise of other people's opinions. It's easy to fall into the trap of living for the approval of others, to base your decisions on what you think society expects of you, or to get caught up in patterns that you didn't choose. But when you realize that you have the power to control your thoughts, actions, and reactions, something shifts inside you. You stop being a passenger and start becoming the driver of your own life. This realization isn't about escaping responsibility, but embracing it fully. Self-ownership means taking responsibility for the way you spend your time, who you spend it with, and what you allow to influence your mind. You are in charge of how you respond to everything, from the smallest annoyances to the biggest challenges. The content you consume, the people you surround yourself with, and the way you prioritize your day are all choices that belong to you. Once you accept that, the noise of the world loses its grip on you, and you begin to reclaim your focus. It's not easy. The world has a way of pulling you in every direction, tempting you to abandon your own priorities in favor of reacting to the needs of others. But when you take full ownership of your life, you stop letting the world dictate your course. Instead, you start choosing what truly matters to you. You realize that you don't have to be swept up in every trend, every conversation, or every expectation. You can choose where to invest your time and energy. And with that choice comes the power to change the direction of your life. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." This is the core of self-ownership, understanding that your past does not define you. Your circumstances, your failures, or your successes, none of them have to dictate who you are or where you're going. You have the power to decide what you want to create from this moment onward. The choices you make today shape the person you will become tomorrow. And the beauty of this is that you have full control over those choices. When you begin to take ownership, you stop waiting for things to happen to you. You stop blaming others, or life, or external forces for the way things are. You own your decisions. This ownership doesn't just apply to big life decisions either. It applies to the small, everyday moments. The way you choose to react to stress, the time you spend scrolling on your phone, the way you handle conflict, or the way you speak to yourself when you mess up. The power lies in the small choices, the ones that over time compound into the life you're building. It's also about realizing that you don't need to seek permission to take charge of your life. Too many people spend their lives waiting for external validation, for someone to tell them it's okay to pursue their dreams or to focus on their growth. But in reality, permission has already been granted. You don't need to wait for the world to give you the go-ahead. You already have everything you need within you. It's your life, your decisions, your responsibility. The sooner you embrace that, the sooner you'll realize how much power you truly hold. This sense of ownership is liberating, but it's also deeply confronting. It requires honesty with yourself. You can no longer hide behind excuses or blame. If something isn't working in your life, it's not the fault of circumstances, other people, or fate. It's yours to change. This might sound like a heavy burden, but in reality, it's the path to true freedom. Because the moment you take full responsibility for your life is the moment you realize you have the power to shape it however you choose. Self-ownership is not about perfection, it's about commitment. It's about deciding that no matter what happens, you are the one in control. You choose how you react, you choose how you grow, and you choose how you navigate the challenges that come your way. You no longer wait for life to show you the way. You take it into your own hands and make it your own. Once you start owning your choices, you begin to create a life that reflects your true values and desires. You stop living for the approval of others and start living for yourself. The people around you may not always understand this shift, but the ones who truly matter will. They'll see the confidence and clarity that comes from someone who is fully in control of their life. It's a daily practice, this self-ownership. It requires constant reflection and effort, but over time, it becomes easier. The more you align your actions with your values, the more natural it becomes to take ownership of every aspect of your life. Eventually, it becomes second nature. You don't have to think about it. It just is. Your life becomes a reflection of the choices you make, and those choices become more deliberate and aligned with your true self. By taking ownership of your life, you also create space for growth. When you stop blaming and start acting, you free up mental and emotional energy. You're no longer stuck in a loop of frustration or indecision. Instead, you're moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. And as you continue to make those steps, you'll notice something incredible happening. Your life begins to shift. You become the person you've always wanted to be, the person you've always been capable of becoming. In the end, self-ownership is about taking responsibility for yourself, not just in theory, but in every single action. It's about taking full control of your life, your choices, and your direction. The moment you realize that you are the architect of your own reality is the moment you step into your true power. Your journey is personal, And the moment you realize that your future is in your hands, you become unstoppable. You are no longer a passive observer of your life. You are the creator, and that's where your true growth begins. We live in a world that's obsessed with connection. It's almost as if we're expected to be plugged in all the time, to be accessible at every moment, to keep up with the constant stream of updates, comments, likes, and opinions. Everywhere you look, someone is vying for your attention, offering their take on the world, or telling you what's trending. It feels like the world is moving faster every day, and you're expected to keep up, or risk being left behind. But in the midst of all this connection, something quietly slips away. It's easy to forget that the more we connect with everything and everyone around us, the more we disconnect from the most important person in our lives, ourselves. The pressure to stay plugged in can be overwhelming. Social media, news, the opinions of others. It's all designed to pull you outward, to distract you, to keep you chasing after fleeting moments of validation or information. We become so consumed by the need to stay in the loop that we lose the ability to simply be. The noise becomes so constant, so all-encompassing, that we forget how to listen to ourselves. It's no wonder we find ourselves burned out, exhausted, and overwhelmed by the end of each day. We're constantly reacting to the world around us, but rarely do we stop and ask, what do I actually need? What would happen if we detached, if we just stepped away from all the noise and created a little space for ourselves? Real growth doesn't happen in the midst of chaos. It happens in silence. When you begin to detach from the external world, you make space for something truly powerful to happen: clarity. As Carl Jung wisely said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Detaching from the noise around you allows you to reconnect with your inner self, to wake up to what's truly important. In that silence, you begin to hear your own thoughts clearly. You can finally process the things that have been clouded by external distractions, and you can notice patterns, triggers, and distractions you were once blind to. You become aware of the subtle ways you've been influenced by everything and everyone around you, and that awareness is the first step toward true self-mastery. When you detach, you're not shutting yourself off from the world, you're simply choosing not to let the world dictate your every move. It's a subtle shift, but a powerful one. By creating boundaries, you start to prioritize your own thoughts, your own feelings, and your own needs. This doesn't mean ignoring the world or disconnecting from relationships. It means giving yourself permission to step back and breathe, to let go of the constant pull of outside influence and find your own center. The more you step away, the more you realize that true strength comes from within, not from external validation. It's amazing how much clarity you gain when you simply stop. When you remove the distractions, whether it's scrolling through social media, answering every text, or getting swept up in the latest news cycle, you create space for your own thoughts to emerge. Suddenly, you can hear your own voice more clearly, and you begin to see things from a new perspective. The patterns of behavior you once accepted as normal become more visible. You start to recognize the things that drain your energy, the people who pull you away from your focus, and the habits that no longer serve you. In that quiet, you find the room to grow. The problem is, detaching can feel uncomfortable at first. We're so used to being connected, to being constantly on, that the idea of stepping away from all the noise can feel like a loss. But in reality, it's the exact opposite. Detaching doesn't mean you're giving up on the world. It means you're taking control of your relationship with it. It's about choosing where to direct your energy and attention. When you let go of the need to react to every external stimulus, you start to reclaim the power to decide what matters to you, and you stop letting the world dictate your priorities. This is where real growth happens. It's not in the moment-to-moment reactions to the world around you, but in the stillness where you're able to reflect, to pause, and to decide what you want to bring into your life. It's in those quiet moments when you can hear your own voice and reconnect with your deepest values. The more you detach, the more you strengthen your ability to focus on what truly matters. And as you do, you'll find that your actions become more intentional, your decisions more aligned with your values, and your life more grounded in purpose. The world will always try to pull you in different directions, but you have the power to choose which direction you go. Detaching from the noise is not about rejecting the world. It's about rejecting the parts of the world that don't serve you. It's about cutting through the distractions and creating space for what truly matters: your own growth, your own clarity, your own purpose. When you take the time to step back, you begin to realize just how much of your energy was being spent on things that didn't align with your true self. And once that realization hits, you can begin to shift your focus toward what truly contributes to your growth. We all have moments when we feel lost in the noise, when we're overwhelmed by the opinions of others or by the constant stream of information coming our way. But those moments don't have to define us. By intentionally detaching from the external world, we can reclaim control over our own lives. We can start listening to our inner voice, trusting our own instincts, and growing into the person we're meant to be. The more we detach, the more we allow ourselves to awaken to our true potential. And in that awakening, we find the clarity and focus needed to build a life that is truly our own. In a world that's constantly bombarding us with distractions, it's easy to forget that the answers we seek often don't lie out there. They lie within. The noise outside, whether it's the latest trends, the opinions of others, or the endless stream of information, only serves to cloud our vision and pull us in countless directions. But when you create space by rejecting this external noise, something incredible happens. You begin to hear your own thoughts clearly. You reconnect with the deepest parts of yourself, the parts that have been drowned out by the constant chatter, and in that space, you'll find something essential: clarity. Clarity isn't something you can buy, chase, or simply stumble upon. It's something that emerges when you intentionally decide to turn inward. Once you create that space, by stepping away from the distractions, by refusing to be swayed by the demands of the outside world, your mind starts to clear. This clarity is the foundation of growth. It's the sharpness you need to make deliberate decisions, the ability to see your goals and aspirations with a newfound focus. You stop reacting to everything around you, and instead you begin to respond from a place of intentionality. The more you center yourself, the more the fog lifts, and you begin to see your path clearly. It's not easy to detach from the world. The constant pressure to stay plugged in, to keep up with every update and every opinion, can be overwhelming. But once you reclaim your focus, you realize that the world doesn't need to slow down for you to make progress. You don't need the noise to stop in order to think clearly. The world will keep spinning, and life will keep throwing its challenges your way. But in those moments when you choose to turn inward, you are taking back control. The strength lies in your ability to center yourself, to choose what truly matters, and to align your actions with your deepest values. Clarity isn't just about knowing what you want, it's about knowing who you are. And when you start making decisions from that place of self-awareness, everything else becomes easier. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop chasing external validation because you no longer need it. Your decisions become more deliberate, more aligned with your values, and less influenced by the passing opinions of others. The distractions that once felt so overwhelming begin to lose their grip on you. You start to realize that the more you focus on your own growth, the less you need to react to what's happening around you. The key to cultivating this clarity is focus. It's about creating the mental space necessary to tune out the noise and tune into your own thoughts. This doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice, commitment, and the willingness to put yourself first. But once you begin to clear away the distractions, you'll notice how much sharper your mind becomes. You'll see things more clearly, your goals, your relationships, your purpose. Everything aligns when you're able to tune out the unnecessary and tune into what truly matters. The more you make space for this clarity, the more deliberate your actions become. Life doesn't need to slow down for you to find clarity. It's up to you to create that space. And when you start to center yourself, to turn inward and reclaim your focus, you realize that the noise around you doesn't have to dictate your peace. You can still engage with the world, but you do so from a place of inner calm, not reaction. The world will continue to move at its frantic pace, but you don't have to follow it. By turning inward, you begin to chart your own course, free from the pull of external pressures. This shift is profound because it allows you to make decisions that are in alignment with your true self. When you're constantly reacting to what's happening around you, you give away your power. But when you reclaim your focus, when you center yourself, your decisions become more grounded. You start to act from a place of confidence and clarity, no longer swayed by temporary distractions or the shifting winds of other people's opinions. In a world that rewards noise, silence becomes your strength. In that silence, you find the clarity you need to make intentional choices. It's in those quiet moments, when you stop chasing everything that's pulling at you, that you realize what truly matters. The more you cultivate this stillness, the more purposeful your actions become. And with every deliberate choice, you create a life that is more aligned with who you are and who you want to become. So, ask yourself, what would your life look like if you weren't constantly reacting to the world around you? Imagine the clarity that could emerge if you took just a few moments every day to center yourself, to detach from the noise, and to reconnect with your own truth. The more you do this, the sharper your focus will become. And with that clarity, you'll find that making deliberate decisions becomes easier, more natural, and more powerful. You will no longer be swayed by the distractions of the world. You'll be rooted in your own purpose, and from that place, you'll make the choices that move you toward the life you've always wanted. Attention is the most valuable currency you have. In a world constantly fighting for your focus, it's easy to forget just how precious it is. We're conditioned to believe that we need to be everywhere at once to know everything that's happening and to keep up with the latest trends. But in truth, every time you divert your attention to something that doesn't serve your growth, you're depleting your potential. The world wants you to be scattered, to consume everything it throws at you. But what if I told you that this constant chasing after distractions isn't power? It's fragmentation. It's the opposite of mastery. Mastery doesn't come from knowing everything or being everywhere. It comes from the ability to channel your attention where it truly matters. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." In this context, that means directing your focus inward and choosing what deserves your energy. It's about prioritizing your growth over the noise of the world. Most people spend their lives reacting to everything around them, constantly pulled in different directions. They end up tired, overwhelmed, and unfocused. But all that energy, all that attention, could be used to create something powerful if only it were invested in the right places. When you master the battle of attention, you reclaim your power. This isn't just about saying no to distractions. It's about saying yes to the things that will move you closer to who you want to be. The more you allow yourself to be distracted by irrelevant things, the more your life becomes fragmented. You stop moving toward a clear goal, and instead, you're scattered in a million different directions. The real power lies in being able to focus on what truly matters. But that requires intentionality. It means deciding consciously where to place your energy. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of information, especially with social media, the news cycle, and the endless list of things to do. Everyone's telling you what you should be focusing on, but in reality, the most important thing is deciding for yourself. Ask yourself, what truly deserves your attention? What will move you forward? When you start to focus on these things, you begin to invest your energy where it counts, and that's where growth happens. The key here is eliminating the unnecessary. The distractions aren't always big, obvious things. They can be small moments that add up over time, scrolling through your phone, checking emails unnecessarily, engaging in pointless conversations. All of these things steal your attention. When you cut out these excess activities, you free up time and mental energy that can be better spent. Every minute you save from these distractions is a minute you can put towards your personal development, your goals, and your dreams. When you reclaim your attention, your life becomes more intentional. Your decisions become more deliberate. You begin to see the world through a clearer lens, and with that clarity, you can take actions that align with your values and vision. But that clarity comes only when you stop allowing the noise to drown out your purpose. It's not about eliminating every distraction. It's about learning to filter out what doesn't serve you, so you can focus on what does. The more you practice controlling your attention, the easier it becomes to stay focused on your growth. You learn to say no to the things that don't contribute to your goals, and in doing so, you create space for the things that really matter. Your relationships, your health, your career, all of these things improve when you direct your energy in a more focused, intentional way. The ability to focus is one of the most powerful skills you can develop, because when you focus on what truly matters, you create the life you want. In this battle for attention, you are the one who gets to decide where to place your focus. The world will always try to pull you in different directions, but the choice is yours. You don't have to be everywhere or know everything. You just need to know what matters most to you. The more you concentrate on that, the more your life becomes aligned with your deepest values. You stop chasing distractions and start creating the life you've always wanted, one focused decision at a time. Mastering your attention is not a one-time achievement. It's a daily practice. Every day you have the opportunity to choose where to direct your focus. The more you practice, the more it becomes second nature. Eventually, the distractions won't have the same pull on you. You'll be able to navigate the noise of the world without getting lost in it. You'll become more resilient, more purposeful, and more in control of your life. And in doing so, you'll discover that the real power doesn't lie in what you know or how much you do. It lies in the ability to focus on what matters most without being distracted by the rest. So, take a step back. Reflect on where your energy is going. Is it being wasted on distractions, or is it being invested in something that truly moves you forward? If you want to grow, if you want to achieve your goals, start by mastering the battle of attention. Your potential is waiting, but it can only be realized when you direct your focus toward it. Every moment you spend focusing on what matters is a moment spent building the life you truly desire. Focus isn't just about what you do, it's about what you don't do. In a world that constantly demands your attention, the true art of focus lies in your ability to resist the pull of distractions. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of activity, social media notifications, emails, messages, and 100 other things pulling you in different directions. But the disciplined individual knows that real power lies not in reacting to every stimulus, but in choosing where to place their energy. They understand that every moment of focus requires restraint. Resisting distractions doesn't mean avoiding life. It means making deliberate choices about how you spend your time and energy. It's about creating space for what truly matters and letting go of the things that don't. When you practice focused discipline, you learn to ignore the noise. The world is full of shiny objects, new opportunities, trends, and ideas that can easily derail you from your path. But the disciplined person doesn't chase after every new thing. Instead, they cultivate an unshakable internal foundation that allows them to move through life with purpose, direction, and clarity. They aren't swayed by every new distraction. They remain rooted in their own values and goals, moving forward with intention no matter how loud the world gets. This type of focus is not a quick fix, and it's not something you can simply turn on and off. It's built over time, through consistent effort, patience, and dedication. One of the most powerful elements of focused discipline is restraint. The disciplined individual doesn't react impulsively. They don't let their emotions dictate their actions. Instead, they take a moment to pause, to think before acting. In a world that glorifies quick responses and instant gratification, this ability to delay action and choose carefully is a rare and valuable skill. It's in the moments of restraint that real strength is built. In many cases, our impulsive reactions are fueled by imagined fears or desires. When we can pause and assess the situation calmly, we often find that what seemed urgent or necessary was merely a distraction, a fleeting emotion that didn't deserve our attention. The ability to refrain from reacting immediately allows us to act with greater clarity and wisdom. This kind of discipline doesn't happen overnight. It requires consistent practice and an unwavering commitment to your own growth. Each time you resist the urge to react, each time you choose to stay focused on your own path, you reinforce your internal foundation. You build your discipline bit by bit, making it stronger and more resilient. The more you practice this focused discipline, the easier it becomes to make clear, deliberate decisions. You begin to notice patterns in your behavior, and over time, you start to filter out the distractions that once felt so urgent. You no longer get pulled in every direction because you've trained your mind to focus on what's truly important. But focus isn't just about blocking out the noise. It's about redirecting your energy toward what matters most. In a world that's constantly offering new things to chase, it's easy to forget that not every opportunity is worth pursuing. The disciplined individual understands that focus is a limited resource. You can't do everything, and you can't give your energy to everything. The key to focus is understanding what truly deserves your attention. What are your long-term goals? What do you want to achieve? Once you know what matters most to you, it becomes easier to ignore the distractions that don't serve those goals. The art of focused discipline also involves creating boundaries. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to others, they're about saying yes to yourself. They are about protecting your time, your energy, and your attention from the things that drain you. Every time you say yes to a distraction, you are saying no to your own growth. Learning to set boundaries is an essential part of mastering focus. It's about knowing when to step away from the noise and make space for the things that will help you move closer to your goals. These boundaries aren't meant to isolate you from the world. They're meant to help you prioritize what's truly important so you can engage with life on your own terms. One of the challenges of focused discipline is learning to trust yourself. It's easy to doubt your decisions when you're constantly comparing yourself to others or feeling the pressure of external expectations. But when you trust in your own judgment and commit to your path, you'll find that the distractions become less powerful. Trusting yourself allows you to stay grounded and focused, even when the world around you is chaotic. You learn to believe in your own decisions, knowing that they are aligned with your values and goals. This process takes time and requires patience. You may stumble along the way. You may find yourself momentarily distracted, pulled off course by the demands of the world. But that's okay. What matters is that you keep coming back to your center. The more you practice focused discipline, the more it becomes ingrained in who you are. And over time, this discipline will transform into a natural way of living, one where you act with intention, clarity, and purpose. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. The key to mastery is not in the actions you take, but in the actions you refrain from. Carl Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." This applies perfectly to the art of focused discipline. The more you turn inward and reflect on what truly matters to you, the clearer your path becomes. The more you practice restraint, the easier it becomes to stay focused. The more you focus on your growth, the less you will be swayed by external forces. When you embrace the art of focused discipline, you move through life with a sense of calm confidence. You don't rush. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You simply stay aligned with your goals and values, and from that place of clarity, you act with purpose. You don't chase every opportunity that comes your way. You pursue only the ones that align with your vision. And that is where true mastery lies, in the ability to move through life with focus, discipline, and unwavering intention. As you continue to practice this art, you will find that your life begins to reflect the strength and purpose you've cultivated within yourself. Growth isn't an event, it's a continuous process. It's not something that happens overnight or in a single moment of inspiration. True growth is built through consistent action, through the daily practice of habits that refine your mind, body, and spirit. The more you commit to developing discipline and restraint, the more your mind becomes trained to stay steady under pressure. When life throws its challenges your way, and it will, you'll find that your ability to remain calm, clear-headed, and focused will be the thing that propels you forward. It's easy to think that growth is a destination, but it's actually the journey, and it's the small, intentional decisions you make every day that shape the person you're becoming. Every challenge you face, every decision you make, is an opportunity for transformation. The world will keep pushing you to react, to get swept up in the chaos, but the disciplined person knows that true growth lies in how you respond, not in what happens to you. The Stoics believed that we cannot always control external circumstances, but we can always control how we choose to respond to them. This is where practice comes in. It's not enough to hope for growth or to wait for the perfect conditions. Growth happens through deliberate practice, through the commitment to align your thoughts, your actions, and your emotions with your highest values, even when it's difficult. It's easy to get discouraged when progress feels slow or when challenges seem insurmountable. But remember, growth isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. Every time you resist the urge to act impulsively, every time you pause to reflect before making a decision, you're strengthening your ability to stay steady under pressure. As Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." This idea is at the heart of personal transformation. The decisions you make today, the way you choose to respond to life's challenges, will determine who you become tomorrow. When you make a practice of aligning your actions with your values, you begin to shape your future in ways that may not be immediately visible, but are profoundly transformative in the long run. Through deliberate practice, you begin to align your mind with your highest values. It's easy to get lost in the noise of daily life, to be pulled in 100 different directions by the demands of work, family, and social obligations. But when you make the conscious choice to align your actions with what you truly believe in, you create a life that is not reactive, but intentional. Every decision becomes a chance to move closer to the person you want to be. This alignment isn't something that happens in a moment. It's something you build over time, piece by piece. The more you practice, the clearer your path becomes. You begin to see what truly matters, and what doesn't, and that clarity allows you to make better decisions, not based on fleeting desires or impulses, but on a solid foundation of personal values. True, lasting change is the result of this ongoing practice. It's not about big dramatic transformations that happen overnight. It's about the small, daily acts of discipline and focus that compound over time. Just like physical exercise builds strength through repetition, mental and emotional strength is built through repeated practice. Every time you face a challenge and choose to respond thoughtfully, you're reinforcing your ability to stay calm and centered. Every time you resist the urge to react impulsively, you're training your mind to stay grounded. The process of transformation is gradual, but with each small step, you're moving closer to the person you aspire to be. The key to this practice is consistency. It's easy to start strong, motivated by a burst of energy, but the real work happens in the small moments. It happens when you choose to stay disciplined when no one is watching, when you continue to practice restraint even when it's hard. The more you make this practice a part of your daily routine, the more your mind becomes trained to stay focused on your goals, no matter the distractions around you. Over time, this practice becomes second nature, and the transformation you seek happens without you even realizing it. You won't always see the results immediately, but the process itself is the change. It's also important to remember that growth doesn't come from avoiding difficulties, it comes from embracing them. Life is full of obstacles, and the only way to truly grow is to face them head-on. Every challenge you encounter is an opportunity to practice restraint, to practice discipline, and to align your actions with your values. The more challenges you face, the stronger your mental and emotional muscles become. Through practice, you develop the resilience to keep moving forward, no matter how difficult the path may seem. Every setback, every failure becomes a lesson in growth, not something to fear or avoid. Transformation is a process, and it requires patience. It requires a commitment to showing up every day, to practicing discipline even when it's hard, and to trusting that the results will come in time. It's easy to get caught up in the desire for immediate results, but true change is built on a foundation of consistent effort. Each day, each decision is a small act of growth that adds up over time. The more you practice, the clearer your vision becomes, and the more aligned your actions are with your values. And as you continue to practice, you'll notice that the challenges that once seemed insurmountable no longer hold the same power over you. As you practice this focused discipline, you begin to see the world differently. You realize that growth is not about chasing after every new opportunity or trying to do everything at once. It's about having the patience and clarity to focus on what truly matters and letting go of the rest. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen your mind, to sharpen your focus, and to align your actions with your highest purpose. The more you practice this, the more you transform your mind, and the more your life begins to reflect the values you've cultivated through consistent effort. Transformation doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens over time, through the ongoing practice of discipline, focus, and intentional action. And through this process, you create the lasting change you've been seeking. Silence is often misunderstood. We think of it as something that exists only when we're alone, in solitude, or in stillness. But true silence, real silence, doesn't depend on external conditions. It's not just the absence of sound, it's the quiet within you that remains constant, even in the midst of activity. Imagine a world where you move through life with purpose, without haste or unnecessary exertion. Imagine acting without urgency, where every decision is deliberate, every step taken with clarity and calm. This kind of silence is not only possible, it's powerful. When you can cultivate this inner silence, you begin to notice that the world starts to move slower. allowing you to move with it instead of being swept away by it. The truth is, silence is not just something that happens when you stop talking or when you sit still. It's a state of being that you can carry with you in every action, in every moment. It's the quiet that resides within you, allowing you to move through the world with intention, without being rushed. It's easy to think that silence is something you find only when you stop, when you're not doing anything. But the power of silence in motion comes from the ability to remain undisturbed, even when you're fully engaged in life. It's the ability to stay calm in the face of chaos, to remain focused and grounded, even when the world around you seems to be speeding up. When you move with this kind of calm presence, you stop being pushed around by external forces. You start to move with the flow, acting with purpose and efficiency. Your actions are no longer impulsive or reactive. They are precise, deliberate, and rooted in clarity. The beauty of this kind of silence is that it creates a space for decision-making that is free from the rush of urgency. In a world that often feels like it's moving at breakneck speed, the ability to act without haste is incredibly powerful. The more you practice operating from this place of inner calm, the more you notice how much more efficient and effective your decisions become. You stop second-guessing yourself, and instead, you trust your instincts. There's no need to rush, no need to force anything. You simply act when the time is right, with the quiet confidence that comes from being deeply centered. And here's the most fascinating part. When you embrace silence in motion, you begin to lead with presence. You stop being the person who is constantly reacting to the world around them. Instead, you become the person others are drawn to, the person who moves with such calm authority that it's impossible not to notice. This is a kind of leadership that doesn't demand attention, but naturally commands it. It's not about being loud, assertive, or forceful. It's about being steady, centered, and unwavering, even in the face of pressure. When you operate from a place of inner silence, you lead not with words, but with your actions. People feel your presence, and they follow your example, not because you've told them what to do, but because you move with clarity and purpose. Silence in motion also gives you the ability to stay calm under pressure. In today's world, we're often told that success comes from reacting quickly, from being the first to jump in, to make a move, to be constantly on the go. But in reality, the people who are most successful in the long term are the ones who don't rush. They don't react impulsively. They take their time, make deliberate choices, and trust their process. They understand that speed doesn't always equal progress. Sometimes the best thing you can do is to slow down, step back, and act with intention. The more you practice this, the more you'll find that the external world slows down to match your pace. You stop being controlled by the urgency around you, and instead, you operate with an unshakable calm that others can't ignore. True silence in motion is not about stopping everything or being inactive. It's about being present in each moment, fully engaged with the task at hand, but also deeply connected to your inner self. When you're able to find this silence, you stop being swept away by the chaos around you. You start to make decisions with ease, to move through challenges with grace, and to lead others with a calm authority that doesn't come from force, but from presence. This is the power of silence in motion. It's the quiet within you that allows you to move with purpose and clarity, no matter what's going on in the world around you. And the more you practice this, the more you'll find that you can handle any situation with unwavering calm. And that's when real mastery begins. As you cultivate this silence within, you begin to notice a shift in your life. You stop reacting to every stimulus, every distraction, and instead, you start to choose where to focus your energy. This is when you begin to see the world through a new lens. The speed of life doesn't overwhelm you. It becomes something you can navigate with intention and focus. You stop rushing and start moving with purpose. And when you can do that, when you can find silence in the midst of motion, you will realize just how much power you truly hold. Your actions will become sharper, your decisions more efficient, and your presence more magnetic. Silence in motion is the key to not only surviving in a fast-paced world, but thriving in it. Endurance isn't about pushing through pain for the sake of it. It's not about forcing yourself through every moment of discomfort or taking pride in how much suffering you can withstand. Real endurance is built on a foundation of consistency and repetition. It's about showing up day after day, facing challenges with a steady mind, and building mental resilience with each step. Over time, these small acts of discipline compound, hardening your mind into something unshakable. The more you face discomfort with composure, the more you discover that the struggles you once feared are no longer obstacles. They're opportunities for growth. In a world that often seeks instant gratification, the idea of enduring hardship might seem foreign. But true growth happens when we face discomfort head-on, not because we seek it, but because we understand that it's in these moments that we develop the strength to keep going. Epictetus captured this idea perfectly when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Our mental endurance grows through our reactions to the challenges we face. It's not the hardship itself that shapes us, but our ability to remain grounded and composed while we navigate it. Every time you choose to act with calm and purpose, instead of reacting with frustration or panic, you reinforce your mental toughness. The more you face adversity, the more you realize that your mind is capable of handling much more than you think. Mental endurance is not about being fearless. It's about learning to move forward despite fear or discomfort. You learn that difficulty is not something to be avoided. It's something to be embraced. Each challenge you face becomes an opportunity to test your limits, to see just how resilient you really are. And with each test, you build more strength, more resolve, and more confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. This process doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, patience, and a commitment to push through, not by fighting against the discomfort, but by accepting it and moving forward anyway. It's in these moments of struggle that your mind begins to evolve. You stop seeing obstacles as things that stand in your way, and instead you start seeing them as opportunities to grow. Every difficulty you encounter becomes a chance to sharpen your focus and strengthen your resolve. With each obstacle you face, you build the mental endurance that will carry you through the next one, no matter how big or small it may be. Mental endurance isn't just about surviving tough moments, it's about thriving in them. The more you practice facing discomfort with composure, the easier it becomes to endure challenges without losing your sense of self. You start to realize that pain, whether physical, emotional, or mental, is temporary. The discomfort you feel in the moment is just a passing experience, and it does not define who you are or what you're capable of. You learn that your true strength lies in your ability to stay steady under pressure, to remain clear-headed and focused no matter what's happening around you. When you build mental endurance, you stop seeing difficulty as something to avoid or escape. You begin to welcome it because you know that with each challenge, you are becoming stronger. The more you practice this, the less fear you have of failure or hardship. You understand that challenges are not the enemy. They're the very thing that makes you stronger. And when you face these challenges with calm and purpose, you begin to realize that your power doesn't come from avoiding discomfort. It comes from your ability to stand firm in the face of it and move forward anyway. The process of building mental endurance also teaches you to embrace the present moment. Often when we face difficult situations, our minds race ahead, focusing on the worst possible outcome or trying to find a way to escape the discomfort. But when you train yourself to endure, you learn to stay grounded in the present moment, accepting what is, without getting lost in fear or anxiety. This ability to stay present, to not be overwhelmed by the future or the past, is a key aspect of mental endurance. It's about taking life one moment at a time and responding to it with clarity and purpose. As you build your mental endurance, you'll notice that your ability to stay calm and composed under pressure begins to spill over into every area of your life. Whether you're dealing with a difficult situation at work, a personal challenge, or a physical obstacle, you'll find that you are better equipped to handle it. Your mind becomes stronger, more resilient, and more focused. You start to trust in your own ability to handle whatever life throws your way. And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes to face even bigger challenges with confidence. What's truly powerful about mental endurance is that it doesn't just prepare you for the challenges you're facing now. It also builds the mental toughness you'll need for the challenges that lie ahead. Every time you face adversity and choose to persevere, you're creating a foundation of strength that will support you in the future. You begin to realize that no challenge is insurmountable, no obstacle too great. As your endurance grows, so does your belief in your own abilities. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is limited by circumstance, and you begin to see yourself as someone who can overcome anything with the right mindset and determination. Endurance isn't about pushing yourself to the limit every single day. It's about understanding that growth happens over time, through consistency and practice. Every time you make the decision to keep going, even when it's hard, you are strengthening your mental resilience. This is how true transformation happens. By showing up, by facing discomfort with composure, and by continuing to move forward, you become someone who doesn't just endure life, but thrives in it. So, when life presents you with challenges, remember that this is your opportunity to build your mental endurance. It's not the hardship itself that defines you, it's how you respond to it. The more you face discomfort with calm and focus, the stronger your mind becomes. And the more resilient you are, the easier it becomes to stay on course and continue moving forward toward your goals. Embrace the challenge, trust the process, and watch as your mental endurance becomes a tool for lasting growth. Freedom isn't found in escape, it's found in control. In a world filled with constant distractions, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that freedom comes from running away from responsibilities, avoiding difficult situations, or seeking external validation. But true freedom isn't about avoiding life's challenges. It's about mastering the one thing you have control over, yourself. When you learn to master your attention and your reactions, you step into a space where external forces no longer govern your life. Instead, you become the one who decides how you show up every day. You take back your power, no longer at the mercy of distractions, judgments, or the expectations of others. This is where real freedom lies, in the ability to remain anchored in your own truth, regardless of what's happening around you. The world is full of noise. Everywhere you turn, something is vying for your attention. It's easy to get caught up in this whirlwind of constant information, opinions, and expectations. Social media, news outlets, the opinions of friends and family, all of these things can pull you in 100 different directions, making it hard to stay focused on what truly matters. But when you learn to control your attention, you stop being at the mercy of all these distractions. You begin to realize that freedom doesn't come from running away from everything around you. It comes from the ability to choose what you focus on. The first step on the path to true freedom is learning to focus solely on your growth. This means letting go of the constant need to compare yourself to others, the desire for external approval, or the pressure to keep up with what everyone else is doing. When you stop living for others and start living for yourself, you reclaim the power to choose your direction. You realize that your life is yours to shape, and you no longer need to be influenced by the external forces that once dictated your every move. This doesn't mean you stop caring about the world around you. It simply means you stop allowing it to control your actions, your thoughts, or your happiness. You become the master of your own mind. Focusing on your own growth is a powerful act of self-liberation. It means you prioritize your development above everything else. This isn't selfishness, it's self-respect. When you make the conscious decision to focus on what truly matters to you, your values, your goals, your purpose, you create the space to grow into the person you're meant to be. You stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward for direction. This shift allows you to remain centered and grounded, no matter what is happening around you. You begin to realize that the only person who truly has the power to define your life is you. This is the essence of freedom, the ability to live according to your own standards, not those imposed by the world. True freedom comes from the ability to decide how you want to show up in the world, no matter what others might think or expect. When you are anchored in your own truth, you no longer fear judgment or consequence. You understand that your worth is not determined by the opinions of others, but by your own actions and integrity. You can speak your mind, make your decisions, and live your life without second-guessing yourself or constantly seeking approval. This kind of freedom is rare, but it is the most powerful form of liberation. It's not about escaping the challenges or pressures of life. It's about facing them with confidence and clarity, knowing that you are grounded in your own truth. One of the most powerful aspects of this freedom is that it allows you to stay calm under pressure. In a world that is constantly changing, where circumstances can shift at a moment's notice, having the ability to remain anchored in your truth gives you a stability that others may lack. When you are free from the need to react to every external situation, you can make decisions with a clear mind and a steady hand. You're no longer swayed by the chaos around you. You become the calm in the storm, able to navigate life's challenges with ease and confidence. And as you continue to practice this inner strength, you'll find that the world doesn't control you. It becomes something you can engage with on your own terms. This is the kind of freedom that empowers you to live authentically. You no longer feel the need to wear a mask or play a role to fit in with others. You stop seeking validation or approval because you realize that your value comes from within. You live in alignment with your own values and purpose, not based on what others think you should do or be. The more you cultivate this internal freedom, the more you realize how much power you truly have. Freedom is not a destination, it's a state of being, a state that comes from mastering your own mind, emotions, and actions. Once you understand this, the external world no longer holds the same power over you. To live this way requires strength, discipline, and a commitment to self-mastery. It's easy to get caught up in the noise, to be swept along by the current of society's expectations. But when you choose to focus solely on your growth, you create a life that is aligned with your deepest desires and values. You stop reacting to everything around you, and instead, you begin to create the life you've always wanted. You realize that freedom isn't something given to you by the world. It's something you create through your choices, your focus, and your actions. True freedom lies in your ability to stay anchored in your truth, no matter what's happening around you. It's the ability to choose your own path, to make decisions based on your values, and to remain calm and centered even when life gets chaotic. This freedom is not about escaping the world, it's about embracing it on your own terms. The more you practice this, the more you'll realize that you are the one who determines how your life unfolds. And in that realization, you find the kind of freedom that can never be taken away from you. Emotions are a powerful force. They shape the way we experience the world and can influence our actions in ways we often don't fully understand. At times, they drive us toward growth, propelling us to take action, push through challenges, and achieve our goals. At other times, emotions can pull us away from growth, clouding our judgment and making us react impulsively. The key to navigating life effectively is learning to master our emotions, not by suppressing or denying them, but by understanding and channeling them. When you learn to detach from the automatic need to react emotionally to every situation, you begin to observe your thoughts rather than be overwhelmed by them. This shift allows you to respond thoughtfully, with intention, and to make decisions that align with your values and long-term goals. The first step in mastering your emotions is recognizing that emotions themselves are not inherently good or bad. They're simply signals. They point to something deeper within us, our fears, desires, expectations, or needs. But often, we treat emotions as commands, reacting to them as though they require immediate action. What if instead we viewed emotions as information? By doing this, you can take a step back and assess what the emotion is trying to tell you, rather than letting it dictate your actions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This is a crucial lesson in emotional mastery. When you understand that your thoughts shape your emotions, and your emotions shape your actions, you realize that the way you engage with your feelings can change the trajectory of your life. Mastering emotions doesn't mean denying them or trying to eliminate them. That would be unrealistic and counterproductive. Emotions are part of being human. What it does mean is becoming more aware of them and learning how to control your reactions to them. The goal is not to suppress anger, fear, or sadness, but to understand their roots and channel their energy in ways that support your growth. Think about how often emotions can lead you to act in ways you regret later. Anger might cause you to say something hurtful. Fear might hold you back from seizing an opportunity, and sadness might make you withdraw from life. These emotions are natural, but when we allow them to control us, they take us off course. The more you practice observing your emotions without being controlled by them, the more you'll start to understand their patterns and triggers. And with that understanding comes the ability to respond in a way that is aligned with your true goals. When you detach from the immediate urge to react emotionally, you create a space where you can choose your response. This is where the real power lies. Instead of reacting impulsively, you become an observer of your thoughts and emotions. You don't just react to the world around you, you pause, reflect, and then choose how to respond. This allows you to engage with life in a more deliberate and thoughtful way, rather than being swept along by the current of emotion. When you have this control, you no longer feel like a slave to your emotional impulses. Instead, you realize that you can direct your emotional energy in a way that serves you, helping you move closer to your goals rather than away from them. Think about the last time you reacted to something out of anger or frustration. Did it lead to the outcome you wanted, or did it create more tension, confusion, or regret? When you can pause before reacting, you give yourself the space to make a choice. This doesn't mean denying your emotions or pretending that you're fine when you're not. It means acknowledging them, understanding them, and deciding what to do with them. This kind of emotional intelligence is what allows you to maintain your peace and clarity in the face of adversity. It's what allows you to stay aligned with your values even when life challenges you. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes to respond thoughtfully, not just in moments of crisis, but in everyday situations as well. One of the greatest benefits of mastering your emotions is that it creates alignment between your inner state and your outer actions. When you're constantly reacting emotionally, your actions often feel disconnected from your true values. You might do things you don't really want to do, say things you don't really mean, or make decisions that are driven by temporary feelings rather than your long-term vision. But when you learn to observe your emotions, understand them, and respond intentionally, your actions begin to flow more naturally from your true self. You align your behavior with your goals and your values, rather than allowing external circumstances to dictate your reactions. This creates a sense of peace because you know you are living in accordance with what matters most to you. It also creates a powerful sense of freedom. When you are no longer at the mercy of your emotions, you no longer feel controlled by the ups and downs of daily life. Instead of being swept away by stress, anxiety, or fear, you stand firm, grounded in your ability to choose your response. This is true freedom, the ability to stay anchored in your own truth, no matter what's happening around you. It's the freedom to be yourself, to act with intention, and to stay focused on your purpose, even in the midst of emotional turbulence. The more you practice mastering your emotions, the more you will see the profound impact it has on every area of your life. Your relationships improve because you no longer react out of anger or defensiveness. Your work improves because you can focus on your goals rather than being distracted by emotional highs and lows. Your health improves because you no longer carry the burden of unmanaged stress and anxiety. Emotional mastery doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you more effective in every aspect of your life. And as you continue to develop this skill, you'll begin to see just how much of your potential was locked up in your emotional responses, waiting to be unlocked by your ability to control them. This process takes time and patience. It's easy to think that once you've learned a few tricks for managing your emotions, you're done. But true emotional mastery is an ongoing journey. It requires practice, reflection, and a commitment to growing every day. But the more you practice, the easier it becomes. And over time, you'll find that the emotional ups and downs that used to control you will no longer have the same power. Instead, you'll find yourself acting with clarity, purpose, and alignment, no matter what life throws your way. Ultimately, mastering your emotions isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about understanding your emotions deeply and choosing how to respond. It's about using your emotions as fuel for growth rather than allowing them to take the wheel. When you learn to master your emotions, you create a life that is more intentional, more purposeful, and more aligned with who you truly are. And in doing so, you unlock your fullest potential, moving steadily toward the person you are meant to become. When your focus is aligned with your values, everything shifts. Your life begins to take shape in ways you never thought possible. The distractions of the world no longer have power over you. You stop feeling pulled in 100 different directions by things that don't matter. You don't need to chase success or recognition because your actions are driven by something far deeper than external validation. The need to prove yourself to others fades, and you start living for yourself, for your growth, for your own purpose. This alignment doesn't happen overnight. It requires dedication and clarity. But once you make the decision to focus on your own growth, you begin to notice a transformation. It's like the fog begins to lift, and everything starts to come into focus. The constant noise of the world becomes less relevant. The opinions of others, the pressures to conform, the endless pursuit of approval, they all start to lose their grip on you. Instead, you become more connected to your own truth, your own essence. You no longer feel the need to justify your choices or actions. Your life becomes an expression of your inner world, and that expression, in its raw, authentic form, is more than enough. When you focus on your growth, you stop looking for external measures of success. You don't need the applause of others or the accolades to feel fulfilled. The constant chase for recognition, for validation, starts to feel empty. You realize that success is not about what the world sees, but about how you feel about yourself and the person you're becoming. True fulfillment comes from living in alignment with your deepest values, and when you do that, everything else follows naturally. The more you focus on growing, the more you align with the best version of yourself. You stop running after success and start walking toward your own truth. Living with purpose doesn't mean you have to know all the answers right away. In fact, it's okay to not have everything figured out. The purpose comes from the journey, from the consistent practice of aligning your actions with what truly matters to you. As you continue down this path, you'll realize that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your value isn't determined by external achievements or the approval of others. It's rooted in the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are living authentically. You are enough. Your life, in all its imperfections, is a reflection of your truth, and that truth is more powerful than any accolade or recognition. The power of purpose lies in its ability to give your life direction. When you know what truly matters to you, you stop feeling lost or confused by the world's endless distractions. Your decisions become clearer, your actions become more deliberate. You stop chasing after things that don't resonate with you and start investing your time and energy into the things that align with your values. This process of alignment creates a sense of clarity that cuts through the noise. You no longer feel like you're drifting through life, waiting for things to happen. Instead, you become the creator of your own path, taking each step with confidence and purpose. The more you focus on your own growth, the more you'll notice a shift in your mindset. The small daily decisions that once seemed insignificant now become powerful moments of transformation. You'll start to see yourself differently. You'll start to recognize that the person you've always wanted to be is already inside you. All it takes is aligning your focus, practicing consistency, and trusting the process. You begin to understand that personal growth isn't something that happens in a single moment of inspiration. It's a gradual process, built over time, through conscious action and reflection. The more you invest in your growth, the more you evolve into the person you're meant to be. When you align your focus with your values, you tap into an incredible source of inner strength. You no longer feel like you're at the mercy of external circumstances or people's opinions. Instead, you become centered in your own truth, which gives you the power to move forward with clarity and purpose. True power comes from within. When you live in alignment with your values, you are operating from a place of strength rather than weakness. You are no longer influenced by the outside world in the same way. You stop reacting to life, and instead, you create it. You shape your own destiny, not by chasing after what others think you should do, but by following the path that feels true to you. The more you invest in your personal growth, the more you create the life you've always wanted. This is the real meaning of freedom, the ability to live according to your own principles, your own values, and your own purpose. It's not about escaping the world or running away from responsibility. It's about choosing to engage with life on your terms. It's about taking ownership of your journey, knowing that each step you take brings you closer to the person you're meant to become. And with that ownership comes the clarity and confidence to keep moving forward, no matter what challenges come your way. As you continue to align your focus with your values, you'll notice that your life begins to unfold in ways that feel more meaningful and authentic. The distractions that once seemed so urgent lose their grip on you. You stop feeling pressured to keep up with others or to meet society's expectations. Instead, you find yourself moving forward with purpose, grounded in your own truth. This is the essence of living a purposeful life, being true to yourself, acting with intention, and trusting the process of growth. And when you embrace this path, you'll find that the life you've always wanted wasn't something you needed to chase after. It was something you needed to create from within. Your focus, your growth, and your alignment with your values are all you need to shape a life that is truly yours. As you step forward on this journey, remember that the power to create the life you want is already within you. Focus, purpose, and alignment with your true values are the keys to unlocking your fullest potential. Keep trusting the process, and never forget that the only approval you need is your own. If this video resonated with you, check out one of the videos on the screen to continue your journey of growth and self-mastery. Thank you for being a part of the Stoic Journal community. Together, we are forging a path toward true freedom and clarity.